So, the rules change for Urza Saga is now online, meaning that Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon effects no longer destroy Urza Saga, and the Urza Saga can keep the abilities that it currently has, potentially producing an Urza Saga that can make constructs every turn for the rest of the game. Let's see how powerful this is in action. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we're doing Urza's Saga Crimes. If you are interested in the rules interaction between Urza Saga and Blood Moon, I have a video from last week that goes into all of the details over like a 45-minute span. I'm not going to rehash all of that here today. The deck list that you see on screen is from brewer Michael Levine, and it just takes advantage of Urza Saga in the Moon Stompy shell. There is nothing too exciting here in terms of the deck building. This is just Moon Stompy with a couple of Urza Saga tutor targets inserted into the mana base. You can't really play the full-on 4 city, 4 ancient tombs while also playing Urza Saga. That's just too many colorless sources, so we do have to trim on some City of Traders, meaning it's actually a little bit harder to just go and play these cards immediately. That is hopefully fine, because we want Urza Saga to tick up before we play a Blood Moon effect anyway. As far as the sideboard goes, we do get to pick up a couple of Urza Saga tutor targets that we can kind of swap our package in and out. There's definitely some question as to which cards should be in the main deck versus sideboard. Does this deck actually want Lava Spur Boots over, say, the Manifold Key? This is a time where I'm going to play the deck list exactly as it was submitted, make no changes, and just kind of see how this feels. I don't think we need a big deck tech today. We've got a thing to test. Let's go test it. Folks, if you need your copies of Urza Saga, Magus of the Moon, Blood Moon, anything from that Final Fantasy set, consider getting it from toamagic.com. If it's newer stuff, they tend to have 95% of standard legal stuff in stock at any given time, and if it's older stuff, promo code ThrabenU saves you 5% on your order for those sweet dual lands or whatever else you need for Legacy. And you get free shipping. With that being said, let's battle. This first hand feels medium to me. I can play 1 3-mana card on turn 2, and then I don't do anything for the rest of the game. If I miss on the land drops, I don't think I like that. Wasteland also ruins me there. Yikes. I can play a Magus of the Moon on turn 1 and hope that it wins me the game, and if it doesn't, I lose. Or I can go to 5 cards. That's an awful choice. So it's 0 agency game, or be down 2 cards. Either way, that's not fantastic. Urza Saga plus Blood Moon effects might change the game enough that it is more reasonable to go to 5. On 5, we're keeping this. Do I keep Lotus Petal to go for Magus on 1? I think I am willing to do that. This is the highest upside I can do from here. So this is similar to the previous turn 1 Magus of the Moon hand. I should have cast Lotus Petal first before playing that land. But this one has a second land, so I could, in theory, cast a 3-drop if this gets Force of Willed. And it does. And it doesn't? Oh, it doesn't. My opponent had the Force of Will and chose not to Force of Will it. You just have basic Island and Tameo already. Sure. So I will, unfortunately, just be passing the turn here. I guess I can do the attack in. And it could potentially play around something that does a small amount of damage and take 2. Not this time. So I know that my opponent has Force of Will already, meaning my One Ring isn't going to resolve. Oh, they just naturally have 2 basics. It's gonna be one of those days. Sure. Uh-huh. Alright, so we have lost this one already. It just takes a while for the true losing to actually happen. So that the One Ring potentially resolves later, I'm gonna play Fable here, hopes this gets forced. Alright. Sink into Stupor. You got it. Not attacking into Strix there. Oh my god. 3 natural basic lands after my Magus start. Fantastic. That's not even castable here. Now we're just going to kind of miserably sit here for a while until we die. We'll see some more cards. I imagine we're going to see like Goyfs and Kaitos and Bowmasters. Unfortunately, I think this was just a game that we lost before we played a single spell. There's a Ponder, so ThrabenU can guaranteed flip this turn, and I can't pressure it because of Baleful Strix. Oh, both are coming in now. You got it, I can't block. It's Kaito. Yup. And I don't have enough power on board here to kill this Kaito. So ThrabenU is now a Planeswalker. My opponent has 2 active Planeswalkers plus a Baleful Strix to protect them coming up. Alright. So there's Urza Saga, which is a mountain that will never gain these abilities. I will continue to play Magic, but I believe that it is over. And Kaito, I don't really think it matters. Yeah, Urza Saga is so incredibly bad if you draw it after the Blood Moon is already down, which is frequently going to happen as you are an 8 Blood Moon deck. And this is part of the reason why I was not overly hyped by what was a very scary rules change for many people. Surveil 2, and ThrabenU is at 6 already. Chromox does not allow me to cast my One Ring. I think missing the One Ring this turn means that the game is over. ThrabenU goes to 8. I can't get through ThrabenU. This is not getting me cards. And even drawing something like a Broadside is not super great here. So my opponent has a bunch of basic lands, or just naturally drew them. So my Blood Moon effects aren't great. But my deck is kind of built around having the Blood Moons, so this is awkward. Probably want another Fury for the Planeswalkers. Probably want a Pithing Needle for the Planeswalkers. Go down on Chalices. I do have a couple of 1-drops in my deck. That's maybe fine. Just feel awkward here. So there's a very big difference between Urza Saga here and a Soul Land in terms of this hand being keepable. I am probably still keeping, so I can go Chrome Mox, Fury. Yeah, I'm going to keep it. But this is definitely weird. So, like, if I resolve the One Ring, then I'm not using the Urza Saga to make construct tokens. Alright. Chrome Mox, Imprint, Fury, play Saga. Double Spirit Guide for the One Ring. This is our Force of Will check moment. We pass. I draw a card. I do that and become immune to Thoughtseize effects. Okay. I'll become worse versus Null Rod effects. Hopefully that's fine. Basic Swamp and Retrofitter Foundry. Sure. So hopefully the One Ring just spirals this game out of control. Sundering Eruption came back. I have missed my Blood Moon effect, meaning that this Urza Saga never gets to do the cool thing. Hopefully that's fine. I get a very large Urza Saga construct token, followed by another one, and I could potentially use Manifold Key to untap this. ThrabenU is fine. So Saga, lose some life. That's just a little late, unfortunately. And my opponent has 2 natural basics. I don't really want to spend the mana on equipping Shadow Spear right now. I wish that I had Lava Spur Boots to just attack with both of these. I think I'm going to do the Manifold Key. Draw some cards. Broadside. Broadside is cool. If I draw 4 cards, do I just get another mana? Probably. Let's go for it. Because it can be Soul Land, or yeah, that's fine. I'm going to go bam, bam. I'm going to keep the artifact in play, use Simian Spirit Guide, go to combat, attack in for 10 theoretical points of damage. Yeah, that's fine. Opponent's at 17. I think this is enough onboard damage that I just throw the ring at my opponent. I also could have thrown Manifold Key at ThrabenU and guaranteed some damage that way. I think I just win either way. We passed the turn 1 Force of Will check, at which point we were very likely to win the game. Yeah, again though, it's super awkward that I can't board out these Blood Moons versus my opponent who just has a plethora of basics, because I am trying to do this interaction. A Trinisphere instead of 2 Chalices on the draw feels medium. The upside of Trinisphere is that I can throw it with Broadside, I guess, for better effect, but it gets in the way of some of my stuff like Fury that might happen once I do the One Ring. I'm not going to mulligan this, but again, awkward. I potentially am just looting those moons away. And the inclusion of Urza Saga and its package in this deck means that some of the things like Hieroglyph don't make it into the deck anymore. Alright. Romox. I'm fully just going to imprint the moon here. Not going to try to fight that battle. I'm just going to play Fable and then hope that I Fury away some relevant bodies. My opponent's card advantage with things like Kaito and Ninja of the Deep Hours or whatever will absolutely eat me alive over time. My opponent will potentially just fetch double basic here. And that's a Drown in the Lock to kill my token, which works despite the fact that I don't have anything in graveyard. Alright, I will absolutely use this ability. I guess we're looting through 2 lands here. So I guess next turn I play Magus of the Moon after this has ticked up. Alright. I don't really want to just Fury an Ornithopter. This means I'm not using any mana on my turn. Jeez, this feels bad. Like, I know that I had a bunch of mana there, which makes that more awkward than normal. But, like, one of the primary things that I want to be doing when playing a deck that looks like this is using my mana every turn. And this incentivizes you to not do that. Please don't plus Kaito. Nice. Now it still dies to Fury. Alright, Ornithopter comes back. Alright. So we are going to play Fury, pitching one of these copies of Sundering Eruption. Deal 4 to Kaito, destroying Kaito. Now we're gonna float some mana. Play Magus of the Moon. Our Urza Saga makes things forever. And we have that engine going. I know that my opponent has enough basics that Sundering Eruption is not going to take them off of colors. Joldred's Edict. I will sacrifice the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. Keep the Magus around to keep the Urza Saga machine going. Rainstorm. Another basic swamp. Retrofitter Foundry can turn Ornithopter into a 4/4, which is pretty darn good. But now my Magus of the Moon is kind of working against me in terms of like being able to deploy my cards while doing other stuff. I think I make this as a land drop. I could potentially activate and do Fable next turn. Alright, Ornithopter becomes a 4/4. That allows my opponent to Fatal Push, which makes me sad. Because now the other abilities of Urza Saga are going to come back, so this will end up disappearing. So I'll make my thing. Yeah, so see the final chapter ability now goes on the stack. So these are 4/4s. As we are doing Shadow Spear here. It's equipped to one of these that can attack and attempt to send in. Hopefully don't get blown out in combat. It absolutely can happen here. Okay. That turns those into 4/4s. So I lose 1, deal my opponent 4. That's okay. Still have the better onboard presence, and I throw down Fable. Make treasure tokens and grow these. Alright, surveilling. My opponent needs a card like Baleful Strix that can lead into more cards here. Wow. That's incredible. I got 3 bodies for 1 card. This is now very awkward with my City of Traders. I'm still probably going to keep it. Like, do I just keep both of these? I guess. Shadow Spear. Saga. Yeah, this is very awkward. This is quite slow and is going to cost me a decent amount of life. I maybe end up just like copying a Construct token with Urza Saga, and that outpaces what my opponent can do with Retrofitter Foundry. I think it's very possible that my opponent just like attacks this turn, makes a Kaito or a Ninja of some kind, and starts pulling ahead. So there's a source of card advantage. That's exactly what I'm worried about. The One Ring. I'm at 8. I think I'm better off trying to get a lifelinker going. My opponent can make a bunch of bodies. So the clues cometh. No other immediate action. So here's 8. No immediate removal spell from my opponent. There's a good chance that their card in hand is Force of Will if they didn't crack this clue. I am at 6. Can't Chrome Mox here. I might just Hithing Needle Retrofitter Foundry to stop block nonsense. I will Lotus Petal. Equip is much worse versus single Fatal Push type card. I think I am not equipping Shadow Spear this turn, and I'm just doing this. No, that's not true. My opponent, if they have a Fatal Push, they potentially just use this, so I can't use it. They could still clue into it, though. No, I am going to go for this. Life is pretty important. Opponent did not crack that clue. Right now they are doing it. That feels weird to me. All right. Tamiyo does the Tamiyo thing. I don't get to block, obviously. It is a ninja. All right. Oh, yeah, this is just the draw one. This isn't Yuriko, which reveals. And Tamiyo comes back. You've got it. Strategic Betrayal. Yeah. I exile a creature I control. Presumably the upside of the reflection is high enough that I keep it. But the size of the construct tokens matters. If I draw any mana source that is viable, I just play the One Ring and attack with 2 construct tokens, and that's fine. I am actually going to get rid of this. I mean, I'll do that. This is a little bit of a weird spot. Sometimes my opponent just goes like block, block, block there. I guess that's a lot of damage. Menace. Yeah, this looks fine. Looks fine. Mark a damage on Tamiyo. I could throw Needle. I don't think I want to turn that back on. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter anymore. I don't know. It kind of gains my opponent 4 life next turn, though. Yeah, it shrinks these. I'm going to leave these as is. It's still possible that I die to just absolutely insane Yuriko hits, right? Like revealing double Force of Will or something. Opponent sends in. Tamiyo turns into a creature, which is fine. And we win the match. That felt very awkward, but scoreboard, I guess. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Okay, opening hand is fine. There's some like Lotus Petal versus Spirit Guide things to think about here. I think since I have a Fury in hand, I keep the extra red card. And I think I just throw down Fable for mana stability here. The fact that this Urza Saga is not going to let me cast Broadside off of it next turn is very awkward in terms of my sequencing. Basic Swamp. Thoughtseize is fine. I've lost the Broadside. It was going to be a little hard to cast anyway, so I think I'm fine with that. All right, we found it again. So yes, I'm going to loot through the Fury. And again, this whole like Urza Saga Broadside situation is super awkward. I might end up playing a post-combat Broadside if I want to get rid of Spirit Guide and try to turn it into a real land, which I do. All right, I did hit a Broadside, so I will play that. I am going to send in for 4. Bring my opponent to 13, and I think I just go aggro here. I don't exactly know what my opponent is playing yet off of 2 cards. Alright, it is a blue-black deck of some kind, and unfortunately a combo one, so we might just die here. It is Beseech the Mirror. Okay, my opponent has, after all of that, gotten an LED and passed the turn. This is another example of Urza Saga being very awkward. I want to play Blood Moon this turn, as it is some degree of disruption versus my opponent, who maybe should not have started casting spells. Unclear. I'm going to save myself a point of... My opponent's just dead next turn. I'm going to save myself a point of life here. Send in for 4. Hit my opponent to 7. Broadside. I'm just going to throw a Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Hit my opponent down to 2 in case life total becomes relevant for some reason. And I win the game. It almost certainly feels like that was pilot error on my opponent's side. They used Dark Ritual LED and Beseech the Mirror to put a Lion's Eye Diamond into play. I don't know if they didn't count their storm, or they made some error otherwise, or misclicked or what, but it does not feel like I should have won that one, and I did. Trinisphere in. Mindbreak Trap in. Leyline of the Void is something that I can think about. It does some stuff versus Beseech. It's not a particularly exciting card. Similarly, Grafdigger's Cage is a tutor target that does something in that same regard. Don't know that I want this one. It does some minimal amount of stuff. I don't want Fury here. I don't need Manifold Key here. Moons are mid. Opponent has lots of artifact mana that offset them. One ring on the draw might just be too slow. Get rid of this. It can like technically do some stuff where I gain some life to make it harder to tendrils me out. But I might just like shave 2 moon effects from here. That seems reasonable. I get Leyline of the Void and Mindbreak Trap as things that have relevant text when I'm on the draw. Ooh, 6 mana sources. That's a hard nope from me. Well, if I don't get turn 1'd, this is great. Let's hope we don't get turn 1'd. I don't care about a Thoughtseize. I will still... Yeah, well, fuck me. Ooh, opponent's build has Wish Claws. That means Pithing Needle is live. Uh-huh. Ball Ritual. 6 mana. Wish Claw. Presumably Beseech now kills me. Oh, it is a fucking actual Adnaz. Wow. Okay. How much mana does my opponent have floating? 0? They sure aren't drawing initial mana sources here. Yeah, they only have the LED. They are passing the turn. Somewhere in the distance, I hear Bryant Cook screaming. Oh, yeah. Opponent still has Wear Down, but won't be able to cast it immediately. I think I'm gonna go Petal, Ancient Tomb, Trinisphere, and then Chalice on 2 for Wear Down next turn. And then I can just win the game with a single Urza Saga Construct token hit. Alright, Saga. X is currently 2. Done. Rip Wear Down. Rip Infernal Tutor. Fetching. 3rd land drop. Spells are castable. This is an example of where Urza Saga costs me a turn. So if this is a mountain, I just play Broadside, attack for 2, throw their Wishclaw Talisman, and they are dead immediately. But I don't get to do that here because this is Urza Saga. Oh, fuck, I had a line. I have to give them their Wishclaw back, but I Wishclaw for mountain, play mountain, Broadside, attack, and I throw Trinisphere instead. That's on me. That is a Chain of Vapor on the Chalice. I will not be sacrificing a land. We'll see if my opponent can then remove Trinisphere and combo off. It will cost them all of their lands to remove Trinisphere. So scoreboard, we win. I made a pretty bad mistake there in missing lethal. It didn't matter, but it could have mattered. So this is the second match in a row where we won, but I felt awkward the whole way. This is a does Blood Moon win the game hand? If yes, I win. If no, I lose hand. I don't feel the best about that. I probably feel worse about it than normal because this also shuts off the Urza Saga angle of my deck. If I just jam this on 1, I think I'll mulligan. Alright. Like, I guess I'm unhappy. Lol. Thank you, deck. Thank you very much for your support in these difficult times. I would say it's going to be a long league, but like we're playing Moon Stompy, so the league objectively just goes fast. Flooded Strand. Blood Moon negated. So, like, I can play a Broadside, or I can try to set up Urza Saga, which I guess is what I'm going to do. What if this is exciting, and my opponent is actually playing something like High Tide, instead of just something like Show and Tell? 3rd basic island? Yeah, this feels like stock up Show and Tell. So I can make the infinite Urza Saga token machine here. It is unclear to me whether or not that is better than just activating Urza Saga. Just activating Urza Saga pressures my opponent faster, and it feels like speed matters. Yeah, I am not going to play Blood Moon and do the thing. The tempo cost of giving up a turn here is massive. Not having lava spur boots to give these haste is also rough. I think I'm dead. Alright. 5 mana. Oh, sure. Could have been worse, honestly. Could have been worse. I'll make my token. Opponent discards a Mistrise Village. Okay. So I think I make my token. I don't have boots, so I think I am getting a Chrome Mox here. I will Chrome Mox, imprint the Blood Moon. We got to try to Goldfish here, which means not playing the next Urza Saga. Putting in Broadside. Attack for 5 immediately. Putting my opponent to 11. And then I think I just take damage where I could get it and throw this. Assuming that my opponent might put in a giant lifelinking creature that invalidates these attacks next turn. Next land drop. Fetching to 8. That's the One Ring. Alright. My opponent buys some time. Guess I will try to resolve another spell here. Yes, I'm doing this. I don't think Sundering Eruption is actually a land destruction spell. And now we see if the One Ring pulls through for my opponent. Between the two sets of draws, that's just an ancestral for my opponent. They might need Omniscience to win, though. Just creating large creatures might not be good enough here. Brainstorm. If I win here, it is just surely due to my opponent's bad luck. They have 10 cards in hand. Surely I am dead, right? Green mana? Yeah, here we go. I will put in a land. There's the Omniscience. There's the more other Omniscience. Atraxa is not stopping lethal, but Atraxa finds Emrakul and another Atraxa. 1, 2. Oh, the extra turn with the flying does it. Yep. Yeah, an opponent can even play another One Ring. That'll do. Made it to turn 6. All right. Show and Tell is very, very good against what I am doing. I can Pithing Needle the One Ring. I can Metamorph their Atraxa. I can, I guess, Dead Gone creatures out of play. That's not great. Let's just get rid of Furies. My Blood Moon effects are very bad. Shadow Spear probably doesn't matter. Still have 2 non-mana targets here. I will go down 1 Moon effect and call that good. I don't think I want to go Mindbreak Trap levels of deep. With Stock Up and the One Ring and Lorien Revealed being in my opponent's deck, they're like surprisingly resilient to Chalice. Like they can still cantrip through that. It's a keep. I have to figure out how to play this, but it's a keep. Probably Saga. Spirit Guide on 1 rather than Ancient Tomb. Spirit Guide goes under, play Saga, play Chalice, and there's the Force of Will. And now we get back to this like same very awkward situation where like I can try to do the Blood Moon thing and create the Urza Saga that goes forever, but if I do so, I am slowing down my Goldfish speed, which is incredibly awkward. Opponent's got to ponder. Thundering Eruption. I don't know. I don't know. Like technically is stopping fetch shuffles and whatnot as well. Yeah. Like this denies me a mana off my own Ancient Tomb as well. I don't know. Are we going towards Chalice on 3? Probably not. I think I am just going to go ahead and put this on 1 for the traditional cantrips. But like again, my Blood Moon has stopped me from activating this Urza Saga. Twice, actually. I missed out on the initial construct and the construct that I would have made this turn when this naturally sacrificed. Excellent. I will put a One Ring into play. There's Omniscience. There's Atraxa, which is obviously bad. Yeah. I don't have Pyroblast style things to draw to just nuke one of these with triggers on the stack. Omniscience, Cunning Wish, Lorien Revealed, EE, oof. I mean, I'll draw my card. This is humorous. So, the Blood Moon that I played to make this work could, in theory, have been Mountain, Ancient Tomb, bounce something. I don't really know that that does anything, though, with Omniscience here. Alright, more other Omniscience. Then I imagine I'm dead. Lorien Revealed. Second Lorien Revealed, rather. Stock Up. I'm not gonna sit through this. They've got it. GG's. Okay. This one is obviously a mulligan. There's too much mana here. Just pointing it out, though, this could be a real threat if we are not an Urza Saga build. It still might be a mulligan anyway, though, to be fair. All right. This is going to be a keep. So I go turn 1 Urza Saga, Chrome Mox, Imprint, Spirit Guide, Chalice, turn 2, Play Mountain, and start activating Urza Saga. This is fine. I think the Manifold Key just goes back if I'm going to attempt Chalice on turn 1. Chrome Mox, Imprint, Spirit Guide, do Saga, do Chalice. Scalding Tarn from the opponent. All right. So we have missed the window to draw a Blood Moon to make the Urza Saga that goes forever. Hopefully just Urza Saga plus Chalice is enough to overpower my opponent. Blue-white. And they keep the card. Be a Jeskai control deck. Be an ending to get rid of Chalice. And it is. Funny art one. And I will make my Saga. More Ancient Tomb is not what I'm looking for. Lava Spur Boots. Very, very much missed here. Guess I'll take a Shadow Spear and do this. Let me get in for 5 and gain back the life that I've already lost. I'm just 1 dress down away from losing this game. Hopefully they don't have it. 14. Volk. 3 mana. Teferi is very good for my opponent here. I can kill the Teferi, but that undoes a lot of damage. Come on, deck. I'm going to assume that there's basics over there. And not do Sundering Eruption immediately. The Teferi doesn't do anything immediately, but if things go wrong, it does something powerful. I am going to play Ancient Tomb and then pass. We've got a Trop and a Stock Up. Opponent leaving white mana for Swords to Plowshares type cards now. And looking 5-card deep, they're somewhat likely to actually get one. Send in for 4. All right, I get them to use a Swords, which is theoretically big game. At 31 life, I'm just going to take 2 here. Cast Magus. Do you have the Force? I haven't given you good Force targets this game, so it's very likely they do. They have main deck Fluster as well. At this point, I'm out of everything, and I am into taking chances now. This is very awkward with 8 moon effects in the deck. This might be giving my opponent a basic land, but I wanted to see if I could knock them off of white, and the answer was no, I could not. If I knock them off of white, there are some sorcery speed things like Teferi that they can't play. Yep. Now opponent has 2 basics and another Stock Up. I need to resolve something like the One Ring, or I am very, very likely to lose. That'll do. I'm going to loot through this land. My life total is whatever. I'm fine doing that. I don't think that Goblin Shaman token is ever going to attack, but I think I'm fine doing it. Wow, it's Flage. Seems good. Not great at answering that. And Ponder. Surveil land? Chunking a land that they left on top. Neither of these are good right now. I just need to find something that has an immediate impact on the game. I'm gonna play this in case I draw the One Ring. That was disappointing. Now my opponent just gets a Flage in play. I don't really answer a 6/6 creature very well. I have to do something like Broadside, throw the One Ring. And the Flage means that my Fable that has been ticking up is not good either. So my opponent's going to go up to 17. I think if they've got a counterspell backing this up, I'm donezo. Yikes. Their 3rd Stock Up of the game. Okay, my deck has fully pooped itself. So I lose this to the Flage attack. My opponent is untapping with 5 cards. We bottomed out. I could technically play out to try to get the One Ring from here, but I think my opponent wins this one. My moon effects are good in this matchup. Kind of want to board out Chalice of the Void. Bring in an extra Fury for Planeswalkers. Bring in a couple of things that address an Uro. Could play Metamorph for my own creatures here. Feel pretty mid about that. All right, we're Force of Will checking here, but we don't super care if we fail the check because I have the One Ring as follow-up. This is going to require 2 separate counterspells from my opponent. Very nice. Less nice. And they kept with the Ponder. Scary. Okay. So I am a little slow to do the One Ring crimes here. Sometimes I end up just cycling this rather than keeping this around forever for Flage. Now, one of my things that in theory would be best in this matchup, the Urza Saga, is now shut off due to my Blood Moons. Yeah, awkward. I mean, I guess then Prismatic Ending does not answer the Blood Moons. It is Hydroblasting a Moon so that they can fetch in response. Gives them a Surveil land, keeping a card on top. Basic Mountain. Am I cycling? Feels weird to board this in as a sideboard answer to a very specific card and then just need to turn it into a new card. Okay. Alright. Dress down. Opponent presumably just doing the same cycling thing I just did with my Soul Guide Lantern. No random Dreadnoughts popping in to say hello. I mean, yeah. Alright, we blast a moon. Now my opponent can float white to answer this one. This is exactly what happens. And I get swords. So it's turn 5, and my opponent has won the war over mana. And now they also have the war on card advantage 1. If I spike a land, I can play Fury, clear the board, but my opponent will almost certainly be able to remove 1 creature. Alright, we're doing this. Doesn't really make sense to just Fury first to bait a counterspell, because my opponent does not have to counter that. They can just sit there with the Monarch, and that's just fine. I think I need to hardcast this. I think I need the body afterwards, and I don't think I can pitch my only card to do that. Stock up is very strong. Now my opponent has basic planes. My Blood Moon effects from here are pretty weak. I'm at 10. My opponent has gotten 2 extra cards from Monarch. This hurts a lot. This is 1 floating mana. I can't even equip my Shadow Spear afterwards. Joy. I dealt 4 to myself there, so if my opponent just removes this Fury and crashes in for 4, I'm at 2 and can't tap Ancient Tomb anymore. Yup. My Ancient Tombs are now off, which effectively means that this game is over. Yep. And good news, the Flage doesn't come back. Oh wait, they can... Okay, sure. Yeah. That is decisive. GG's. Alright, final round, opening hand is solid. I don't have a Blood Moon effect here, unfortunately. And did not luck into one. Maybe I can loot into one, though, with Fable. Okay, Ancient Tomb. There's the One Ring. The opponent got out ahead of us here. I think I'm going to get rid of Chalice Mountain? Maybe Chalice Fable. In the timelines where my opponent Karns, the mountain is kind of important because the treasures aren't producing red. Get rid of the other Fable. Okay. These are not really what I am looking for. I'm going to play a broadside. I'm going to attack to get the treasure even though I'm not dealing damage. And I think call it a turn there. The Fable is better than the cards that I drew, unfortunately. And we'll see if my opponent just puts up an overwhelming board presence this turn that I can't punch through. Grim Monolith into a key. He untaps the ring for a bunch more card draw. Assault Monolith, which is mana neutral, into a new One Ring. Yeah. And another card draw. Opponent's at 7 cards, and I don't get to deal combat damage this turn. I'm going to play Urza Saga. I'm still going to attack for my treasure because it is relevant. Play a Petal. Play a Key. Play a very funny looking Lava Axe. My intention is fully just to throw that with Broadside. We have some other interesting lines available here, like untapping our opponent's One Ring for them. I don't think we're going to take that one, but it is a line. Opponent's got their own Saga. Turning opposing sagas into things that last forever is very real. My opponent with Paradox Engine here certainly is going to win the game this turn. So every time that they cast any spell, they can untap the One Ring. So they are gaining so much mana here because every spell they cast is just Basalt plus Grim plus Grim. So at this point, we're going to fast forward until they put a win condition on the stack. That is an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So each time my opponent casts a spell, they can now exile a permanent. I'm going to say that that is good enough that I can stop here. Okay. I can very awkwardly Pithing Needle the One Ring, I guess. We'll go Chalice out. For Mystic Forge specifically, I could consider Grafdigger's Cage. I'm going to do Fury for Planeswalkers. Metamorph for opposing One Ring. And this might be a time where I do go ahead and Mindbreak Trap. I think I'm going to cut my own Manifold Key. I don't see myself tutoring that over Pithing Needle for Karn or the One Ring. This has 2 mana. That's not going to do it. This is so fucking awkward. So, like, I can Magus of the Moon immediately to attempt to shut off all of my opponent's soul lands before they do anything with them. And then I have Urza Saga, which is just a mountain afterwards. Or I can wait a turn and give my opponent access to potentially doing a 4-drop on turn 1 if they have Grim Monolith and Friends. Just incredibly awkward. I believe it is correct to not give them a turn where they can potentially have 2 mana. But, yeah. I don't feel great about this combo. I'm not going to lie to you. Am I going to play it again tomorrow? Yeah, I probably am. What do you name with your Pithing Needle? Broadside is my guess. Yep. Alright, well, we have more moon effects coming. So 18. I slow my opponent down a little bit, but the scary cards can start coming this turn. That's a mountain under Magus of the Moon. Spend in for 2. 16. Ooh, opponent does not have more mana. Fantastic. That is very lucky. Spend in for 4. And then I'll play Fable. This is now a 2-turn clock with the addition of Fable. Storm is 1. Untap. Storm is 2, so I can't counter that. My opponent gets to draw their card and gets a turn of breathing room. Mindbreak Trap is not good, but Blood Moon and Chrome Mox are worse. Does my opponent have a basic land? I guess we'll find out because I don't have anything else to do. Don't deal any damage. Let's try to blow up a land. There is no basic land. Excellent. So down to 11. This is a 2-turn clock again. Power Plant. Untap Monolith. New Monolith. Storm is 1. Storm is 2, so I can't use Mindbreak Trap. That did not work out well. Ye old Mindbreak Trap. Okay. I don't have cards that are doing things. I'll make my treasure and pass. I guess I can now hardcast a Mindbreak Trap. Hope that wasn't available last turn. I missed it. No, because I made the second treasure this turn. Hey, my opponent has Tron. It produces red, red, red. Alright, untap. Paradox Engine. Glaring Fleshraker. I'm going to assume that I counter that. Mindbreak Trap. Grim Monolith. We are still going. Oh no. We're going for mana. That is the 3rd turn of playing the One Ring in a row. Yep. And opponent has 6 cards in hand when that's all said and done. I will play a 2/2. Attack for a treasure token. And pass. Opponent's at 9. I do have theoretical lethal, but my opponent has 9 cards and 2 manifold keys that are either additional mana or additional card draws. I'm not optimistic. Card draw is the answer for the first one. Mana is the answer for the second. Producing another Voltaic Key. Yep. I think you are supposed to use the mountains prior to using your colorless mana in terms of like micro optimizations. It also probably doesn't matter because there aren't all that many cards that require actual factual colorless. Kozilek's Command. There is the One Ring remaining in the deck. Battle. Alright, so at end of turn, I am going to make an extra Goblin Shaman token, which will be sacrificed at the beginning of the next end step. I don't think my opponent is currently dead. They can block 4 of these. See if I can change that. I don't think one single card draw changes that. That lets me Pithing Needle the One Ring, though. Send it. Let's just yield to that. My opponent takes 4 damage here. Oh, and they've got tricks. That is a Kozilek's command for some more spawns. Opponent goes to 5. Then I am going to Pithing Needle, which I think still goes on the One Ring. Like, you could name Karn here, though. The Karn is probably the thing that tutors something that kills me. I don't know that I get to just, like, name Karn and give my opponent a draw 4, though, when cards as powerful as Ugin exist in the deck. We have 2 Grim Monolith untaps, leading into another Grim Monolith. There is the Karn. Opponent had it already. Or Paradox Engine, which is certainly bad. Now my opponent gets near infinite mana. They don't have bonus card draw. They need a payoff card in hand. There is a separate payoff card. So my opponent had Karn and Mystic Forge both already in addition to the One Ring. So if I name Karn with my Pithing Needle, then the One Ring plus Mystic Forge still does disgusting things. Note that my opponent does need to kill me or they die to their own One Ring, or alternatively find the final copy of the One Ring. They also at some point can do one Mystic Forge, exile the top card of the library thing. X equals 29 Kozilek's command. Help. There is a Glaring Fleshraker, and presumably I just die from here, right? A single Kozilek's command, for example, is just lethal. A new Karn? Oh, and it's not even optimizing their Paradox Engine stuff anymore. They know they've got it. There's Ugin. Yeah. Now my opponent gets to start eating my permanents. So the good news here is that since I played the One Ring, the Glaring Fleshrakers aren't killing me immediately, but Kozilek's command on my turn kills me. Alright, there is the final One Ring. And now my opponent has protection from everything, and they will get to untap. Ugin gives my opponent a little bit of a life boost with the plus. I think I'm dead enough that I'm just going to concede here. I think it's pretty clear that my opponent has gotten it. And that is only a 2-3 finish with the new broken thing that everyone is worried about. All right. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I'm going to do this in 2 stages. So the first thing that I'm going to evaluate is the deck list itself, and the second thing that I'm going to evaluate is Urza Saga with Blood Moon. As far as the deck list itself goes, this is probably just a couple cards off from being optimal. I think the Manifold Key is probably a bit much. We did one really cool thing with it, but I found myself wanting Lava Spur Boots multiple times throughout the league. So I think that would be an easy swap for me. I don't know that I exactly like the sideboard. I understand why everything that's there is there, though. I might customize my own sideboard differently. For example, not having any sort of Pyroblast effects meant that we were pretty dead in the water versus Show and Tell, which feels honestly like an even worse matchup than normal, because we are worse at just winning the game because we have fewer copies of City of Traders, and because we are sometimes incentivized to slow down to set up the Urza Saga thing. So it feels like the Show and Tell matchup needs to be addressed more, because the Trinispheres certainly aren't doing enough lifting there. So secondarily, how do we feel about Urza's Saga in this shell? And in a word, I think it's clunky. I think the Magus of the Moon, Blood Moon stuff throughout the league was wildly inconsistent. In theory, having Urza Saga in your deck versus a control deck is very, very good. But if your Blood Moon is played with the wrong timing, then your Urza Saga is just a mountain, and it's probably never going to become better than that. In the slow matchups, it's perfectly fine to try to set up Urza Saga plus Blood Moon. And if you get it set up, it will be very good. But setting it up is very, very, very awkward. I think this is working too hard. I think it is better to just like do the things that get your opponent dead. Get some things like Pyroglyph back in the deck that can just go to Dome. Get more Furies in there so you can steal more games versus decks that have small creatures. I think this build is not for me. However, I think tomorrow we're probably going to play Painter and take a look at what this deck feels like, or sorry, what this interaction feels like when you actively already wanted to be playing Urza Saga and you actively already wanted to be playing Magus of the Moon. All right, with that, I think I am going to call it a day. I have a whole bunch of videos to edit and upload, so you all can watch these things ahead of time with your sweet YouTube members perks. All right, have a great rest of the day. See ya.